Kevin between 7 and 9, and then What Just Happened between 9 and 10. This is my last drive show of until the 30th, but I will be back tomorrow between 10 and 12:30, and on Monday between 10 and Sunday between 10 and 1. So do join me for that. I want to thank all of the drive team, the top team behind the glass who've made the programme today, and best wishes to them as they head home for Christmas. Ryan is bringing his cat Hermione on the train. It's all happening, and I hope that all works out very, very well indeed as they go home for Christmas. I will see you tomorrow at 10 a.m. Kevin is next. Stay with us.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
It's beginning to feel a lot like Christmas. Good evening and welcome to this very special, fabulously festive edition of the Political Asylum. I believe it's almost Christmas, which is why I'm wearing this sensational seasonal outfit. Anyway, this is my last show before the big day, so we'll have a bit of fun. But news stops for no man or woman or gender-fluid person, and there's some serious stuff we've got to deal with before we sink into a vat of festive spirit. You know the drill. Get involved, get on the phone and call me on 0344 499 1000, or you can send me a WhatsApp voice note on the same number, and I promise to play your message out. Here's what's coming up. Big story of the day, obviously. After 5 long months, the 2 Muslim brothers filmed fighting with cops at Manchester Airport have finally been charged. For legal reasons, we can't talk much about this until the trial, but let's just say wonders never cease. Meanwhile, the most worrying Keir Starmer statement so far, as he tells Parliament, wait for this, he thinks he's delivering great policies and would not change a single thing that he's done over the past 5 catastrophic months. Eh? What planet is this guy on? 03444991000. So much for Tweedledee. Now for Tweedledum. The Bank of England today confirmed what we already knew, that Rachel from accounts has killed our economy. Chancellor of Doom, Robert Reeves' £40 billion tax grab budget from hell has stagnated the nation, shrunk businesses and killed all growth. What a mess. Does this career liar have any idea what she's doing? 03444991000. Plus, as it was announced earlier that Labour's veteran Prince of Darkness, Peter Mandelson, has been appointed Britain's ambassador to America, a recording swiftly emerged of the old fraud calling Donald Trump a white nationalist and a danger to the world. That should do wonders for the special relationship, shouldn't it? Stay tuned for the President-elect's campaign manager's furious reaction. This is a disaster already. 03444991000. Also, find out what former Shadow Home Secretary Diane Abbott, another veteran Labour stalwart, thinks of her boss, Tutia Keir. Spoiler alert, she's not a fan. But then again, who is? 03444991000. And finally, after a Turkish kingpin heroin dealer was allowed to stay living in the UK because he has a right, apparently, to a family life, we can reveal that hundreds more foreign crooks are using the European Court of Human Rights to avoid the deportation they fully deserve. This dangerous nonsense has to stop. My proposal, quit the ECHR, kick them out and tell them that they can enjoy their right to a family life in their own damn countries. 03444991000. And finally, your calls and messages while we open a bottle or two. All that and so much more, so don't go anywhere. Stick with me right here, right now, on Talk, the home of free speech and common sense. Let's spend Friday night together. And with me, my Friday friend, as always, it's Peter Barnes. Thank you for going for the extra mile and coming in on this rather festive day.
Well, you know, Kev, anything for you, but you know my feelings on Christmas, so bar humbug and all that.
Bar humbug, yeah, we'll have a party.
Bar humbug.
We'll have a party anyway, you know. There's coffee in here, I promise you. Yeah. No, it is coffee.
No, it's not.
Look, let's get cracking. I'm very intrigued by the situation with Peter Mandelson. This is a catastrophe, really. But we'll get to that in just a little while. Now, we have you understand, we have to be very careful what we say here, because for 5 months, folks, ever since July the 23rd, one of the problems with the footage that we've all seen at Manchester Airport of that massive fight between 3 police officers and at least 2 other guys, 2 Muslim brothers, we've been able to show you the film, we've been able to speculate, we've been able to say what the hell we liked, the media. And as have you, all of you, because that's the law. They weren't charged, we can say what we want. Well, finally, they've now been charged, which came like a bolt from the blue. Suddenly today, sort of Christmas present, really, the Crown Prosecution Service announced that the 2 brothers would be charged, or have been charged, and significantly, again, let's not discuss this, Pete, I'm just going to say it as a fact, the 2 coppers that were involved will have not been charged. So I'm wondering, they've both been suspended. I'm wondering how quickly they'll return to their duties at Manchester Police, presumably fairly quickly.
Well, to be fair, the Independent Office of Police Conduct is still investigating their use of force, so I think they're still on suspension, from what I understand. But
well,
again, you've got to let that investigation go to its own completion.
The police college then has been superseded.
Yeah.
Because the the justice system of Britain has decided that they didn't use unnecessary force and... Well, they're exonerated. They didn't do anything wrong, according to the Crown Prosecution.
Yeah, it seems to be from a guy called Frank Ferguson, who's from the CPS.
Yeah,
he
right.
said it's no realistic prospect of convictions.
That's a good idea, Pete. Let me read what the quote that Mr. Ferguson, isn't it? Well, here he is. His name is where is he? Where's his name? Can't find his name. The CPS confirmed that after careful consideration, no police officers will be charged. And a statement released today by the the Crown Prosecution Service's counter-terrorism chief, Frank Ferguson. He said he acknowledged the strength of feeling around this incident was high, but there was no realistic prospect of conviction of any Greater Manchester police officers involved. He said, following our review of an incident at Manchester Airport in July 2024, the Crown Prosecution Service has today issued charges against 2 individuals. This was a high-profile incident that attracted significant public interest and media coverage at the time, and we have worked closely from the outset with investigators from the Independent Office for Police Conduct and Greater Manchester Police. We have reviewed all the available evidence. Let's face it, they had plenty of time to do that, didn't they? Including witness statements, video footage, expert reports and other material related to police use of force to make an independent and objective assessment about whether it is appropriate to present charges to the court for the court to consider. Based on this careful consideration of the evidence, we have concluded that 2 men should be charged with offences including assaults on police officers. We have concluded no charges should be brought against any officers. Just to make it a little briefer, the expert opinion was that there was no realistic prospect of conviction of the coppers. So that's the situation. I'll just remind you that the 2 brothers, Mohammed Amaz, 20, is charged with 2 offences: assaulting an emergency worker and common assault. Mohammed Ahmad, 25, is charged with causing actual bodily harm. And as I said, no charges for the police officers. Good point you made there, Pete. I wonder what they're supposed to be under investigation by the police watchdog. And I wonder what this will mean for that. I mean, if the British justice system has decided, the Crown Prosecution Service has decided, if in effect they've done nothing wrong, there's no prospect of conviction, surely the police should stop investigating them. That's something that no doubt will emerge.
It'll look a little weird, won't it, if one comes back and says they've used undue force and one says no, but everything's perfectly fine. Again, the left hand doesn't seem to know what the right hand's doing, but welcome to British justice.
Well, indeed. Well, we don't know when that court case is going to unfold, but it will happen, we think, probably at Liverpool Crown Court. So watch this space, but as I say, we have to be very careful. So because they are now charged, the discussions, the fiery discussions that we've been having for 5 long months must now cease. Because if we start talking about what we think about this, any aspect of it, then we could prejudice the court case, and that would not be good. So let justice take its course, and we'll have to wait now. But I thought it was well worth starting the show, because this show we've done a hell of a lot on this. When. So let's just say, Pete, we are pleased that finally some kind of common sense seems to have emerged from this situation, because obviously the fear was, it's been so long. We have all these coppers saying, I don't know what the hell's going on. But it's been so long, we were fearing that maybe they would never be charged. But they have been now, so we'll leave that and move on. Let's, this is extraordinary. This Keir Starmer, you know that guy, that Prime Minister guy, weirdo, bad at communications, bad at his job, always flying abroad. Do you know he's been away 20%?
I know.
20% he's been abroad.
Astounding.
Just ridiculous. Anyway, he... on a rare trip to his home country, a rare visit to Britain, he sat yesterday in front front of the liaison committee at Parliament. By the way, he was supposed to go in front of, I think, 13 committees. Only about 5 bothered.
Don't bother to turn out.
Nah, get out of here. Boring old git, not interested. But anyway, he did go before Parliament's liaison committee and was asked by the chairwoman, Labour lady. She said, is there anything that you would do differently if you were starting out now knowing what you know? He replied, we've had to do the tough stuff. We are getting on with it, and I'm very pleased to be delivering from a position of power. He basically said he would not change a thing over the last 5 months. We should ask the people of Britain. We'd change a lot, Keir. But mainly the nation's decision on July the 4th to put you into power, the worst mistake this country has ever made, arguably. Well, look, let's have a look at Keir talking to the committee yesterday.
Is there anything that you would do differently if you were starting out now, knowing what you know?
No, we had to do tough stuff. We're getting on with it, and I'm very pleased to be delivering from a position of power rather than going around the division lobbies losing every night. I've had too much of that.
Well, thank you.
That's Dame Meg Hillier. She's the Labour... No, me neither.
No, well, I do know who she is. However, I couldn't help but notice how nice Keir Starmer's tan is. It's very well rounded out, isn't it?
I mean,
for December in the UK.
Well, exactly right. Well, that's what happens when you spend all your time in sunny climates. I mean, to be fair, this week's trip was only Norway and Estonia.
Oh,
so he wouldn't. As I keep saying, nobody needs to go to Norway and Estonia ever, especially our Prime Minister. But you wouldn't get a suntan there. But he mostly goes to sunny places. So good. I'm glad he's enjoying his jet-setting lifestyle.
Yeah.
But that statement, you know, if he
staggering.
genuinely believes, Pete, that he would not change a thing over the past 5 months, if he genuinely believes that, first of all, he's on his own planet. Planet weird. And secondly, if he believes that, we're in more trouble than I thought.
Yeah, agreed. I mean, you know, it's nice to have a conviction politician once, but maybe one that's a little better would be quite nice, if I'm being honest. But you're right. If he genuinely believes that he wouldn't do a single thing better or a single thing different, then he's not paying attention. And more importantly, it shows very clearly he's not listening to the country. He's not listening to experts. He's not listening to anybody but himself and his own little motley crew that all believe it. And, as you know, the thing that we've got to look at from that performance with the liaison committee, what do backbenchers do now? Because the backbenchers, you know, those ones with 400 or 500 majorities, right on the edge of, you know, they could be flipped to the next general election very easy by Reform or even by the Tories. You know, they may start to get a little panicky now, and we might only be a couple of months into this government, not even a year yet, but I was to be very careful if I was Keir Starmer, because big majorities mean a lot of hassle if rebellions start to grow. And I think performances like that, and even not admitting that things may not have gone right, not admitting that not everything is perfect, will start to irk a lot of people, and a lot of questions maybe start to be asked around the tea rooms at Parliament. Is he the right PM for the job?
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, I happened to be in Parliament yesterday and talked to a few Labour people, and you know, privately, they're as dismayed as the rest of us. They really are. So don't think that Labour is a party full of happy people. Actually, we'll talk about the Waspies a little bit later, but there's a real rebellion going on there. There's a real rebellion, and these lapdog new backbench MPs who so far have gone, yes, Keir, oh, brilliant idea to get rid of the winter fuel. Yes, you're lovely. Yeah, kill the pensioners. We support you. You know, that's what new MPs tend to be like. They're very timid and scared. Well, they're coming out of their shells now. And the Waspie issue is really annoying a lot of Labour MPs. They're getting a bit sick of this. That what they don't... This is what we will also discuss. They don't believe that Keir Starmer's a proper Labour man. So we'll talk about that. But what we're going to talk about when we come back after this break is, you know, his appointments. So we had Sue Gray, disaster, you know, as his chief of staff, you know, proving that when she was investigating Boris Johnson for Partygate, you know, she's supposed to be a neutral civil servant. She wasn't. She was in the pocket of Starmer. That was a disgrace. Starmer should have seen that that was a bad thing to do. So she's obviously not that great, and she got sort of torn up for toilet paper by Morgan McSweeney, who outmanoeuvred her in number 10, and so she, as Chief of Staff, she had to go pretty quickly. Anyway, of course, that was a bad appointment. By the way, of course, he made her a Baroness today, of course. You know, nothing succeeds in Westminster like failure. So she's gone up to the upper house, undeservedly so, but then again, most people in the House of Lords don't deserve to be there. They're only there because of patronage and their mates. So he basically bought her off, said, listen, Sue, it's not working out, I'll give you a peerage. Get out of here. There was that. Louise Haigh, of course, the Transport Secretary, who turned out to be a convicted fraudster. You don't give one of the great offices of state to a convicted fraudster. You know, he sort of said, oh, well, it was a long time ago and all. No, no, no. And as soon as we found out, Sky News, for once in their useless lives, actually broke a story. They got that story. As soon as that emerged, she had to go. She had to quit. So that was a bad appointment. And now we've got Peter Mandelson. Now,
the Dark Prince
look, basically, Peter Mandelson, I at first thought, well, you know what, out of a bad bunch, he's probably as good a guy as you could get to do that very important job of being the American ambassador. But no, it turns out that this too is a really, really catastrophic appointment. Find out why after this break.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Breaking news. This has a familiar terrorist feel about it. At a very popular Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany, a vehicle has driven into the crowd there. Now, we don't have any further details, but you know what I'm referring to. You know, we've seen this several times. It's a common terrorist technique to just drive cars into crowds of people, and it's happened at Christmas before, hasn't it? And do you remember down in Nice in France, there was a time where that vehicle, a fire vehicle or something, but did the same thing. So, as I say, the city centre has been closed. Magdeburg is west of Berlin. It is the state capital of Saxony-Anhalt, population of about 240,000. Police said extensive operations are taking place. Local government spokesman said several people have been injured and several may have been killed. Very alarming situation unfolding there at the Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany. We will keep you posted as more information is revealed, but it is possible that several people have been injured and several may have been killed. Clearly that will be a terrorist investigation. Always happens at this time of year, doesn't it? How sad. Always. We'll keep you posted on. Let's move on. Let's talk about, Donald Trump. He's the president-elect. He's not at all happy because we were talking about Keir Starmer's knack for very bad appointments. Now, when it was revealed today that Peter Mandelson, the old Prince of Darkness, the veteran old Labour stalwart, Machiavellian creature that he is. By the way, they said it is clean up politics. That guy got kicked out of the cabinet, of the Blair's cabinet twice for corruption, and was best mates with Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. They're cleaning up politics, aren't they? Anyway, he's got the big gig, but I thought, well, you know what? This isn't so bad because for all his faults, he is a pragmatist. Yeah. You know, as he always, remember his famous statement that Blair's Labour cabinet was very relaxed about people with tremendous wealth. Yeah, he can be filthy. So he's a pragmatist. Yeah. Which is good. You know, we don't want some sort of ideological lefty being our ambassador in Washington. So I thought, well, you know, I don't particularly like Mandelson, but, you know, we could do worse. And he's got a lot of experience as well of corruption. No, he's got a lot of political experience. Anyway, so great. Yeah, Peter Mandelson's got the job. Then this emerged. It's an interview that he gave in 2019. Take it away, Pete.
With an American president who is little short of a white nationalist and racist. Even those who have a sneaking admiration for Donald Trump because of the strength of his personality, nonetheless regard him as reckless and a danger to the world.
Oh, that's great, isn't it? That should do wonders for the special relationship. Immediately after that was revealed, Chris Lacevita, who was Donald Trump's campaign manager, tweeted this. This UK government is special. Replace a professional, universally respected ambassador with an absolute moron. He should stay home. Sad. Mandelson described Trump as a danger to the world and little short of a white nationalist and racist.
There's no words.
That's a very close ally. That's a very close aid to Donald Trump. Yeah. That is the feeling of Donald Trump. He's furious.
He's absolutely furious, and this is the thing. Trump has kind of tempted down his own Twitter accounts and his own rants. He's allowing other people to do it. But that would have come straight from Trump himself. I mean, I was like you, Kev. I was like, I don't really like Mandelson back in politics, but, you know, maybe him and Trump have something in common. They're somewhat of the comeback kings, you know. They could maybe form some kind of relationship there. But why was this not flagged? Why was this not picked up in a most basic kind of information gathering like months and months ago.
Yeah.
You know, this is just ridiculous. I get the feeling that the idea was that we'd send somebody who was close to Keir Starmer as a kind of, this is how serious we take it. You know, Mandelson has the ear of Keir Starmer. We could build a new relationship. That, I get the feeling, was the idea. But, I mean, little short of a white nationalist and a racist, there is no coming back from that. Absolutely none. The idea that, you know, he's going to end up being the ambassador now, absolutely moronic. And it really wouldn't surprise me if the US reject him outright.
Yeah, apparently, Pete was explaining to me he understands these kind of things. I'm almost as much as a moron as Peter Mandelson. But seriously, I'm not saying Peter Mandelson's a moron. Chris Lachivita is, though. This is like Donald Trump's right-hand man.
Yeah.
Just saying that the new British ambassador to Washington is a moron. Not a good start. And what it proves is, you know, Mandelson, you know, a slippery old operator, you'd think, you know, politically skillful and all that. But he's not, is he? No. He's just another one of these ridiculous lefty virtue signallers who couldn't wait to climb aboard the Donald Trump knocking train and go, oh, he's a racist, he's a white nationalist, oh, he's horrible, he's right-wing. It's pathetic.
Yeah, he's gone from the Prince of Darkness to the Little Lord Fauntleroy, as far as I'm concerned. It's ridiculous. And, you know, I agree with it. Like, Mandelson was always kind of touted out as the architect of New Labour. He was, you know, this great political mind, and he could weave around and all the rest of it. But, I mean, this is just amateur hour. Again, we're going back to student union activists. That's all they are. And yet, and this is a real danger period for the world and for the special relationship. And Keir Starmer and his government are blowing it. They're absolutely blowing this. And it will be the consumers and it will be the British people that yet again pay the price for their incompetence and their virtue signalling nonsense. It's got to stop, and they've got to buckle down and start acting like grown-ups, because otherwise those 20% tariffs that Trump keeps talking about, they're coming our way. And you think it's bad now in the economy? Wait till that happens.
And it seems that the current or the Trump camp really like our current ambassador.
Oh, she is
Jane D. Hartley.
Yeah,
they really like her.
Respected.
So Trump, Starmer's replacing her with old Mandelson. And, you know, disaster already. I mean, God almighty, what is wrong with these people? And, yeah, as I was saying, Pete explained to me that actually, technically, the America, you know, obviously Britain makes its appointment of its ambassador, but technically, under international law, America could reject our ambassador. If they're really fed up about the appointment, they can say, no, we won't have that person. I wonder if maybe they might do it.
Well, it wouldn't surprise me. It's a kind of, we're not messing around this time. And, and just to embarrass Keir Starmer further, because let's be honest, there's a very streak throughout the kind of the Trump Republicans of they don't like Keir Starmer and they don't like the UK government. And unfortunately, yet again, it will be us that pays the price for it, because this is, like you said, they're just jumping on the bandwagon back in 2019 and thinking, oh, we all hate Donald Trump, this will have no repercussions. It's just amateur hour.
Yeah,
absolute amateur hour.
Absolutely, absolutely. So watch this space there. Let me know what you think. I mean, you know, do you really want this guy, Peter Mandelson, being our ambassador in America? It's going to be a really, really it's always an important job. But right now, with the way the world is, the Ukraine war, the Middle East, it's an absolutely crucial job. But arguably, yeah, well, it's definitely the most important diplomatic job, but it's, you know, one of the most important jobs in government, if you like. Now, do we want this guy doing it? Because Trump has made his feelings known. This is a disaster, as I say. Let me know what you think. 03444991000. While I'm at it, why don't you give me a call and let me know what you think about Mr. Starmer, sorry, Sir Keir's contention that he's doing a great job and he wouldn't change a thing over the past 5 months. What? Yeah. Welcome to Planet Starmer, folks. Population 1, Keir Starmer. Unbelievable. Let me know what you think about that. 03444991000. And if you have a bad opinion, a dim view of Keir Starmer, I know Pete does, and I have a particularly dim view of Keir Starmer. Millions of people around the country can't stand the sight of him. 61% said that they thought he, in a poll this week, 61% of the people of Britain said that they thought that he was the worst Prime Minister this country has ever had. And by that they mean, obviously, modern times. But, you know, he thinks he's doing a good job. But do you? 03444991000. I mean, the question there is he lying? I hope he's just lying, you know, PR. Yeah. As I said earlier, you wouldn't really expect him to sort of sit down and go, "No, I'm doing a really bad job. I'd change everything." However, is he lying when he says, "I'm doing a good job and I wouldn't change a thing"? Or, far more worryingly, is he delusional? Does he really think he's doing a good job? Because if so, folks, as I said to you, Pete, earlier, we are in deeper trouble than we all thought. 03444991000. Now, if you have a dim view of Keir Starmer, Pete does, I do, well, we're going to talk about someone else who has a very dim view of Keir Starmer, and it's one of his senior Labour MPs. Find out all about that after these messages.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. We just broke that news just a few minutes ago that there's been this terrible incident in Germany in the town of Magdeburg, which is just to the east, I think, of Berlin. No, it's west of Berlin. It's the state capital of Saxony-Anhalt. They are reporting that several people have been injured and several may have been killed. And, of course, there are terrorist overtones to this. They'll be looking into whether or not this is a terrorist attack. Germany's had a hard time with terrorist attacks recently. Do you remember in the summer? The town where the guy went round slitting people's throats, killed 3 people, I think badly injured about 8 more. He turned out to be a Syrian asylum seeker. So are we talking about the same kind of thing here? We've seen this kind of attack before. Anyway, Pete Barnes and I have just seen a video which we're trying to get verified. We need to make sure it's genuine. But it is shocking. Shocking. If it's genuine, it is absolutely shocking. Careering through this crowded Christmas market. careering through, people just bashing it. It's unbelievable. So we are trying to find out whether or not that is genuine, but I think it's safe to say we have a major incident unfolding over there in Magdeburg at a Christmas market in Germany. So again, we will keep you posted. Now, let's go back to domestic affairs, and as I said before the break, if you don't like Keir Starmer, Pete doesn't, I don't. Come on, speak properly, Kev. Seriously, you know, loads of people don't like Keir Starmer. Well, here's someone else who doesn't like Keir Starmer, and it's a Labour MP. It's more than that. It's a former Shadow Home Secretary. It is a veteran stalwart Labour MP. It is, and for once in our lives, we can all agree with Diane Abbott. Take it away. This is her on Newsnight last night.
One of the things about Keir is he's only been in the party a relatively short period of time. He was DPP until, I think, 2014, and he couldn't have been a member of the party. Then he got parachuted into... he got parachuted into...
St Pancras.
Holborn, just parachuted in, didn't have to contest for it. Then, because it was a safe seat, he didn't have to fight for that. And he has no feel for politics. Now, he might say, I've got a great feel for politics because I smashed people like you. But he's got no feel for politics. He doesn't understand how they feel. Remember, he's on his big fat DPP pension. What does he know about, you know, ageing women who really will depend on the state pension? He doesn't know.
He is your leader.
Absolutely.
He is your Prime Minister.
Yes. Yes, no, he's my leader and he's my Prime Minister. Therefore, I'm entitled to say what I think. There's more I could say, but I've said... Go on,
Diane, go on. That's Tim Montgomery of this parish in the background, the Tory, former Tory who switched over to Reform last week rather significantly. He exclusively revealed this on the political asylum last week. So he was saying, old Tim, that, you know, trying to go on, Diane, but he said that in the lift on the way up to the show, she was saying the same kind of thing, but shall we say in rather more forthright terms. She hates him. She hates him,
yeah.
And, well, of course, he tried to defenestrate her from her Hackney constituency.
Yeah, he did,
because he sees her as a sort of Corbynista, a relic of the extreme left Labour Party that he's tried to moderate, allegedly, although I think he's not exactly right-wing himself. But, you know, if you've got, with friends like Diane Abbott, who needs enemies, eh?
Well, this is what I go back to saying about backbenchers. If people like Diane Abbott are willing to put their head above the parapet, you know, she's a very well-respected Labour MP. Whether people respect her in the country is an entirely different matter. But within the Labour Party, there's still a strong support for Diane Abbott and a strong respect for Diane Abbott. And if she's willing to go on a show like Newsnight, a, you know, BBC show, major political programme, and basically, you know, try to defenestrate Keir Starmer and throw him under the bus in the way that she did, this will signal it's safe to do this now. That's what this is. It's a signal. It's safe to start criticising. And once this criticism starts, is Number 10 going to be strong enough to stop it? I don't think they are.
And do you know what she's furious about? She's really on a high horse about the WASPy women, the 3.8 million women born in the 1950s who sort of had the pension rug ripped from underneath their feet. You know, they thought they were going to get the pension at the age of 60, and then we equalised our pension so women get it at the same time as men now, quite rightly, frankly. So in those days, though, you got your pension at 60 if you're a woman, 65 if you're a bloke, and then all of a sudden they changed it. So these women were left, their entire retirement plans were left in the lurch, and they suddenly had to work another 5 years longer. And they've been campaigning for compensation. And $3,000, they only want $3,000 each. But should the government decide to pay them, that will cost £10.5 billion. So Keir Starmer said, well, can't do that, too much of a tax burden. Well, why not? You know, it doesn't really matter. You've taxed us so much, you might as well chuck a few more quid on top of it.
Some farmers in Africa that need that money.
Exactly. So, but what she's angry about, for all her faults, you know, she believes in the Labour cause, and I think she believes in a kind of political integrity.
Yeah.
And she's furious that Keir Starmer and Liz Kendall, the Work and Pensions Secretary, when they were in opposition, were shouting from the rooftop, telling the Tories.
They posed with photographs for them.
Yeah.
They used them.
They took up the cause.
They took up the cause.
Now they've chucked him under the bus. That's what she's furious about.
And again, I completely agree with Diane Abbott. And this has just shown the hypocrisy of Keir Starmer, the fakeness and the facade. You know, that no matter what he now says, can you really believe him? Because he might take up your cause just because he's a political opportunist, not because he believes it. And that is why Keir Starmer, I've said this from day one, is not fit to be Prime Minister. Because you simply don't know if he's telling the truth. He's doing this for power. He's in pursuit of power, not to do the right thing, not to rebalance the economy or do any of this kind of stuff he's saying. It's about power for him, and that's why he tried to get rid of Diane Abbott, because she was a threat to that power. And you know, he's a very dangerous man when he wants to be. He does have some teeth, and he knows how to growl pretty loud. But you know, we're starting to see people like Diane Abbott start to put their head above the parapet, like I say, and signal it's all right now. This might be the final line where, you know, these big majorities look great on paper, but they're very difficult to manage. And if he can't manage them, and if Morgan McSweeney, his chief of staff, isn't up to the task, a small majority becomes a big majority of rebellion. And it could see a lot of trouble for Keir Starmer moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And Diane Abbott's going to cause him some problems here. And it was just sort of so shameless. You know, there's all these pictures of him posing with the women. You Tories, pay these women, you know. Once he's in power, no, I can't do that. You know, it's like, it's just unbelievable. Same for Liz Kendall.
Yeah.
You know, so Diane Abbott making it clear that she can't stand Keir Starmer. For the reasons that we've spoken. So divisive is Keir Starmer that people like me and Pete Barnes find ourselves in the extraordinary position of saying, I agree with Diane Abbott.
Well, they always say that politics makes unlikely bedfellows, doesn't it? But it is, because I think it's starting to show, like I say, the real Keir Starmer is being shown to the public, finally. That, you know, he'll say one thing and he'll do another. And I don't know how long he can keep that up. I really don't, because, like I said, the backbenchers will start to get very restless once they see that their nice new jobs and titles and all the rest of it are put under threat.
And a couple of backbenchers, these newbies, who so far wouldn't say boo to a goose, they were raging about it as well. So even the newbies are starting to turn on Starmer. They were, I think, many of them, they held their counsel, but many of them were very shocked by the winter fuel allowance being scrapped. That was so un-Labour, so un-Labour.
There was a gentleman, I can't remember his name, but he's got, in his constituency, he has the most farms in the country, and he voted against Keir Starmer in a kind of motion. It wasn't binding or anything on the inheritance tax situation. So you are starting to see every now and then little pockets of rebellion starting to grow, and if they could organise, that is a real problem for Number 10. An organised rebellion can put down prime ministers very, very easily, no matter how big that majority may be.
And there's talk that there may be a vote on the WASPI issue, and that despite his enormous majority, there's a genuine chance that Starmer could lose that vote. So many Labour MPs are so furious. You can't do this, and that's why Diane Abbott is right. He has no feel for politics. He thinks it's okay to lie through his teeth and then next week do something completely different. You know, he thinks that duplicitous hypocrisy is just fine because he's a technocrat. Doesn't really matter. Next week we'll do something else. You know, but politics, that's bad politics. People see this and they see through him. So I think he's in big trouble here. Well, next up, we'll go back to talking about people who are in big trouble. Rachel Reeves, Robert Reeves, the Chancellor of Doom, her hopeless. Rachel from Accounts, her hopelessness. I don't think she knows. I don't think she's got a clue what she's doing. And the Bank of England today pretty much said so. They actually said, they effectively said that budget, that awful £40 billion tax grab, the biggest tax grab in any budget in modern history, in fact, I think in all history, £40 billion, they said that's killed the economy. It's killed us stone dead. No growth. So her incompetence, her financial illiteracy, is starting to take its toll. We'll talk about that after these messages.
Rachel Reeves' big danger now. She has so burdened and already over, the tax burden was at a highest record level at the end of the Tory years. It wasn't low then. She's added to it now, and I think we're in a very dangerous position.
And quite scarily, the other day when Sir Keir Starmer himself was asked, does this mean you're not going to put up taxes again? He said, well, I can't rule it out, which pretty much means, yes, we intend to.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Keeping you posted on that German Christmas market incident. I'm watching it on the TV now. It is pretty massive. A lot of chaos going on there. As I say, so far the reports suggest that several people have been injured, several people may have been killed. Obviously, there are terrorist suspicions around this. A car has driven into a crowded Christmas market in the town of Magdeburg, which is west of Berlin. So, as I say, we'll keep you posted. Well, I'm just getting this now. Oh, my God, 60 to 80 people are injured. One is dead. 60 to 80 people. As many as 80 people are injured, one person dead. So there is a death toll. I'm looking now at, we are showing now. You can see this. You can see people on the ground. Absolute chaos, absolute carnage. This is just becoming all too familiar, isn't it?
Yeah, sadly. Every year, you can probably set your watch by it. It's
these Christmas markets seem to be... I mean, we don't know what happened here, but clearly we all have our suspicions. Yeah. We've seen this before. These Christmas markets are becoming quite a target because you have so many people packed in. But as I say, we've got to be careful here because we don't actually know the cause yet. The driver, we're told, the driver of the car has been arrested, but one dead, As many as 80 people injured at Magdeburg Christmas market. Stay tuned for developments there. Right, we haven't got too much time now, Pete, to do this due to having to squeeze in our breaking story, but let's talk about Rachel from Accounts. The Bank of England today accused, basically warned that the UK is grinding to an economic halt after Rachel Reeves's anti-business budget. She was accused of killing growth. The Bank of England warned the economy is in big trouble, basically. When Labour took office, we were the fastest growing economy in the G7. In fact, the Office for National Statistics, the independent Office for National Statistics, described our economy under the Tories towards the end of that administration, Pete will like this, as going gangbusters. Now we have ground to a halt. And businesses, because of her ludicrous national insurance raid, are downsizing, they're shrinking, they're having to charge higher prices, and they're having to get rid of staff. Incredibly, Pete, these two, Reeves and Starmer, called this a budget for growth.
I just don't understand it. It is essentially welcome to recession watch. We are teetering on the edge of an economic recession here, and they still call it the budget for growth. You know, we were the fastest growing economy in the G7. I would remind people that was a election pledge by Keir Starmer to keep being the fastest growing economy. But that's looking very unlikely now. I think we're hurtling towards a 1970s stagflation.
Yeah.
I really do. I think inflation is starting to climb. We're starting to go, our economy is not growing at all. We're seeing businesses close, we're seeing staff cuts and hiring shortage and a freeze on hiring. It is absolutely dire, and it is all of their making. They can blame this on other factors, and they want to somehow blame the fact that they haven't got the planning reforms through. Even people who know in the know on that stuff say that that's going to make absolutely no difference. I mean, this £25 billion national insurance hike has killed businesses dead of all sizes.
Particularly small business and medium-sized businesses.
I think you go back to what Keir Starmer said, saying he wouldn't change a thing, like at the liaison committee. I mean, how can you not want to change anything when that is what the Bank of England is saying?
Yes, Anna Leach, she's the chief economist at the Institute of Directors. She said there is little doubt that the bank sees the Bank of England, that is, sees a link between the budget and markedly weaker confidence and activity in the private sector. And don't forget, GDP, gross domestic product, shrank by 0.1% in October. Now, if we go a quarter and our GDP shrinks, then another quarter and it shrinks again, we're in recession. Britain right now is on serious recession watch. She's managed to take an economy that was going gangbusters, the best in the G7, and take that and reduce us to being on recession watch. She hasn't got a damn clue, has she?
She hasn't, but then also it's being driven by pure ideology and spite. Let's look at each one of these has been a targeted attack on the middle class, whether it be the farmers, the waspy women, or whether it be, right across the board. It is about targeting the middle class and absolutely hammering them to death with taxes. The £40 billion tax raid of that budget will be a death note of the economy. It really will. And I don't want to be a doom and gloomer just before Christmas, although I do enjoy it a little bit. You have to admit, how Rachel Reeves is still in her job, I do not understand. He has to dump her and change this fast. Because again, you couple this with the potential trade war that the United States wants to launch, and oh my God, I think it will make 2008 look like child's play.
This is what socialists do. They basically extract worries about the economy from their entire way of thinking. Their entire modus operandum is this. We tax the hell out of the private sector, out of businesses and individuals, and we give all that money to the public sector. And they sort of say the economy can look after itself. Well, no, by doing that, you wreck the economy. These people are, they've taken a pretty decent situation and plunged us into deep, deep trouble. This is alarming.
Yeah, I go back to what Keir Starmer said just before the general election, said that if empowered, the Labour Party would govern with a light touch. If this is a light touch, what does a heavy-handed fist looks like? Because, I mean, he has, like you said, they've taken a growing economy that was going gangbusters, according to the ONS, it was finally getting somewhere, trending in the right direction, and stopped it dead. I mean, at some point, somebody has to hold their hands up and says, we got this wrong. But unfortunately, given what we've just heard from Starmer and the rest of his acolytes, it's not going to happen. I mean, businesses are dying for change. They need this change. And nothing is looking like it's coming from number 10. Because, as per usual, I think I've said this before, the most dangerous thing about progressive politicians, they'll never admit that they're wrong. Yeah. They will never admit that they got this wrong, and that will be disastrous for everybody.
What it looks as if she's managed to do to us is she's plunged this country into what they call a doom loop. Yeah. That there's no way out of this. It's a vicious cycle. So, as we were just discussing, because of these taxes, businesses have to shrink. They have to get rid of staff. They have to charge higher prices. Individuals can't really afford those higher prices. They stop buying. The companies get into more trouble. And so on and so forth. So we're in this cycle. It's called a doom loop. I hope she realises what she's done and maybe take steps to put it right. But I think they're so ideological, they're so student politics that I don't think she will. So this is very, very worrying. Let me know what you think about this, folks. 0344 499 1000. Keeping you abreast of the German market. And next up, stay tuned, lots more to come.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. I had yesterday off, very rare day off. And by the way, after today, OK, everybody, get your Kleenex out, start playing the world's smallest violin. I am not going to be here again until January the 6th. So next week, Russell Quirk will be stepping into my shoes, into my very, very difficult job for in that, you know. Yeah, the political asylum with Russell Quirk next week. So another hour of me. By the way, it's my show, What Just Happened, at 9 o'clock, so you can look forward to that. I certainly do. I'll tell you all about that in a little while. But when I was off yesterday, this shocking story emerged that a Turkish heroin dealer who'd been living in this country, it wasn't just a heroin dealer, it was a massive kingpin, apparently thought to be at one point responsible for as much as 90% of the heroin being traded in this country. Anyway, we were going to kick him out of the country, but he appealed. It went to the European Court of Human Rights, and guess what? They said we couldn't kick him out because he's got a wife, kids, he's got a right to a family life. I don't care. I mean, what is this? You can have a right to a family life in his own country. Go back to Turkey, have your family life back there. You can't have it. They go, well, you can't really punish his wife and kids. Why not? I don't care. Why not? This guy's a danger to this country. This guy's probably killing people with his drugs. You know, and we say, oh, we can't, you know, ACHR. So and since then it has emerged, there are hundreds of really bad criminals currently still in this country that we tried to deport, who have gone to the European Court of Human Rights to say, what about my human rights? And so they're still here. This is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. What a joke this country is. You know, prioritising the alleged human rights of massive heroin dealers. They're usually drug dealers. Some of them are violent crooks, gun runners. Prioritising their human rights over the safety of British citizens. What? It's ridiculous. Let me know what you think about that. 0344 499 1000. Now, Turkey, you know, Muslim country and all that, you know, that brings into sharp focus that many people are worried about Islamification of this country. We are now, it has been revealed, the Western capital for Sharia law courts, Muslim law. 85 in full operation in this country. And finally, in this sort of catalogue of shame, ISIS bride Shamima Begum, who we took her citizenship away several years ago. She was residing, God knows where she is now, but she was residing in this sort of tent city in northern Syria, in the desert. We don't know what's happening with those places after the unrest there, so God knows where she is right now. But Labour are refusing to say whether or not she can come back. So the line was she can't come back. Labour say they're not talking about this case. They're making vague statements about national security. And both Starmer and the Home Office Minister, Angela Eagle, have said, you wouldn't expect us to talk about this particular case. Well, we would, actually. We would. What do you mean you were not talking? I'll tell you, they're shaping up to let that monster back. That ISIS bride. They're shaping up to let her back. I bet you they are. To discuss all of this, let's welcome to the show, friend of the show, former Met Detective Mike Neville. Thanks for joining us, Mike.
Hello, Kevin. Good evening.
Before we get on to any of this, just a couple of words. You know the law. You know you have to be very, very careful. But Pete Barnes and I were discussing the fact that finally, after 5 months, those two Muslim brothers filmed in a fight with coppers at Manchester Airport have been charged. I think it's fair to say that we're pleased that the Crown Prosecution Service has decided not to charge the two coppers who were involved as well. But you know, choose your words carefully. But we had to wait, I would suggest, way too long, but we got there in the end.
Yes, we did get there in the end. And I just think it's what this will tell people is there is this two-tier justice system, that if you can claim to have some kind of victim status, in this case, having the Muslim faith, then you're likely to get better justice than somebody who shouts at a police dog at the wrong time. And we've seen how the courts can operate very, very quickly after the Southport disturbances. And my expertise was catching criminals who were caught on CCTV, and the evidence is there for everybody to see. So how it took 5 months, we don't know, but I'm glad to see that there is some kind of conclusion looming anyway.
Yeah, and we're going to move on now, but if I just would say that it does at least look as if the Crown Prosecution Service decided that those coppers were doing their job, which is good, and I hope that they will no longer, that the IOPC, the Independent Office of Police Complaints, will now drop its investigation into them for wrongdoing.
I doubt it will, though, Kevin. It will. That will rumble on, and there'll be Greater Manchester Police will be short of an officer or two who's been suspended or put on restricted duties. I'm afraid the IOPC doesn't move. It moves like a slug with a heavy shopping bag, to be honest. It's very, very slow.
A slug with a heavy shopping bag. I like that. Well, let's go on to safer ground, shall we? As I say to the audience, Mike, me and Pete, we all have to be very careful about this. This is now what they call sub judice, and it would be wrong for us to discuss the details because that could prejudice the trial. And if we did prejudice the trial, those brothers would walk free. So you wouldn't want that to happen, would you? So that's why we're not dwelling on that too much. Right, let's talk. We'll talk about Shamima Begum in just a little while, Mike. But yesterday we heard this shocking story that a Turkish heroin dealer, not just any old heroin dealer, apparently at one point thought to be responsible for as much as 90% of the heroin trade in this country. Massive kingpin, got a wife and a couple of kids, been allowed to stay because the European Court of Human Rights decided he had a right to a family life. I don't deny that he does. I don't see why he has to have that family life here in this country. But there you are. But it has now emerged that, Mike, that there are hundreds of criminals in a similar situation. Crooks, really bad crooks, drug dealers, gun runners, violent criminals, prisoners, people who've done jail terms, you know, really broken the law badly, all still in this country protesting their human rights to the European Court of Human Rights, and no doubt all of them will be allowed to stay. This is out of control now. This is ridiculous.
It is out of control, and it is utterly dreadful. And as you say, some of these are the most wicked criminals. With the drug dealer in particular, controlling the massive heroin trade, you can only imagine how many deaths that's created, how many robberies, burglaries, thefts that has generated. He's generated thousands and thousands of crimes, and this is where we just need to leave. The whole purpose of that European rights was brought in after the Second World War, so you couldn't have, you know, people being gassed and arrested and shot on the spot just because they were Jewish or some other thing that the Nazis didn't like. And it is utterly unfit for purpose in 2024. We do not need it. We do not need foreign judges deciding who can come or who can stay here. I can't imagine any US citizen allowing a Mexican or Canadian judge to say, oh, that terrorist, they must be allowed to stay in the United States. It just would not happen. The Japanese wouldn't accept that either. Or any major country. Why are we involving ourselves with foreign courts? There should not be any jurisdiction here at all. And you get all these you're crying out to the experts saying that, oh, it'll make us a pariah like Belarus or something. No, it won't. We have had the rule of law in this country for far longer than most other countries, and we know what's fair and we know what's just. And allowing drug dealers to stay here is madness. And it's the fact that the guy, you know, you're saying, oh, he might get killed because he's a Kurd. Well, he went back to Turkey several times of his own volition. He had an affair with a woman in Turkey. So it's utter nonsense. And who are these people who make the decisions? Well, I'd like to meet them because obviously, well, they're sort of liberal left lunatics who think that we're stupid and they're more clever than us, I suppose.
Yeah. Foreign criminals who dodged deportation over the past few years have committed more than 10,000 offences in a year. These are foreign criminals who most right-thinking citizens would say should have been deported, many of them people coming out of jail. The fact that we allow foreigners to break our laws, we send them to prison, they come out, and we allow them to stay is just bizarre, to be honest with you. Anyway, in the past year, the foreign criminals that we allowed to stay, convicted criminals that we allowed to stay and did not deport for reasons best known to us, committed more than 10,000 more offences. Again, out of control, Mike.
That's under the 10,000 that we know about. You know, how many crimes where the suspect wasn't identified have they committed? We have got enough criminals and crooks of our own in this country without importing them from all these different places and then allowing them to stay and giving them a house and loads of benefits. It needs to end. And there's a very simple way. You know, we heard about... Harriet Harman was saying about Nigel Farage, he just introduces simple solutions that can't be done. Some of these things are very simple. Just withdraw from that convention and we'll have our own courts and we'll make our own decisions and we'll decide if we're going to deport people. I don't need French, German, Belgian or some, I don't know, Romanian judge telling me what we can and can't do. It is not utter nonsense. Get these people out because we've got enough trouble of our own and they cost us a fortune and bring in utter misery. And as I always say on this show, they won't be living next door to the judge and the lawyer who supported them. They'll be binned off on some council estate where the little people have to put up with their wickedness, and it's really bad for them.
I'm just going to bring Pete Barnes in on this, the point that Mike is making there, Pete, and this is, I think, central to a sensible argument. It is this, you know, all the do-gooders and the bleeding heart lefties and all that, they will say, we're going to be in the European Court of Human Rights because, you know, we respect human rights. Well, whether or not you're in the ECHR club, if you leave the ECHR, it doesn't mean you don't believe in human rights. I mean, we sort of invented the ECHR. We invented human rights here in Britain after the Second World War. Now, if we left the ECHR, we could set up our own set of human rights. You know, you don't have to be in the European club, do you?
That I completely agree with. 100% completely agree that, you know, just because you've left it doesn't mean that we're suddenly going to become some pariah state, like Mike says. But what I will say is, as soon as we do leave, and I am actually an active campaigner for us to leave, we have to have something of parity. We have to have something ready to go to replace what we've got. And we can pick and choose the bits that we like, and we can amend it, we can change it, we can do whatever we like. We can make it our own human rights cause. Because you're right, we kind of invented the courts and this kind of human rights system like just after the Second World War because of things like the Nuremberg trials and all the rest of that kind of stuff, you know. And I don't like this whole kind of, that's it, we're just giving up on human rights narrative, because it's nonsense, absolute categorical nonsense. But we do have to be very careful about just pulling clean out and expecting the law just to kind of pick up where we left off. We must make sure that we have something ready to go as soon on from day one. And then my biggest problem is, I don't really trust the government at the moment to make the right kind of laws for any kind of court.
There's this other problem. I mean, but you know, it would take some legislation because the ECHR is woven into the Equalities Act, isn't it, from 1998. So we have to get it out of that. But, you know, where there's a will, there's a way.
It's like the Good Friday Agreement as well.
Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way, and we should find a way. There's no doubt about it. Moving on, Mike, just finally, really, and this I find worrying. Labour, Starmer, and the Home Office Minister, Angela Eagle, Dame Angela. Notice that all these Labour policies, all Dame this and Sir that.
They all hate the Empire,
They love their titles, these socialists, don't they? Anyway, Dame Angela Eagle and Starmer are making, I think, sort of slightly alarming noises about Shamima Begum, the ISIS bride who, of course, went out during the caliphate when the ISIS was at its worst, married an ISIS warrior and helped them commit those terrible atrocities. We stripped her of her citizenship, and she resides now, languishes, as they say in journalism, in a tent city to the north in the north of Syria, which was guarded by the Syrian guards. So she was in a kind of a prison. Now, the Syrian guard will have gone by now, so who knows where she is. But Dame Angela Eagle said, when asked, will Shamima Begum be allowed back to this country? Her British citizenship has been stripped from her, and that decision made by a previous government has been approved of at the highest levels in the courts And that's the current situation. She went on to say, I'm not going to talk about her particular case. Well, and then she says, every case will have to be looked at on its merits. Well, first of all, I don't know why she can't talk about this particular case. But that sounds to me to be fairly diffident about leaving her abroad. You know, the current situation, a previous government, and so on and so forth. And Keir Starmer would only say, I think the principle that we have to apply is that our national security comes first. So that's the way in which we will look at these cases. They're going to let her back, if you ask me, Mike.
Yeah, if I had 50 quid to put on it, I would gamble on they'll find some weasel way to let her back. All this business of, oh, she's a child, and when she went out there, but she was involved in the most hideous crimes out there. And when Savage Javid stripped her citizenship, he did it because he could say she's a Bengali parent. She's Bangladeshi parent. She's entitled to Bangladeshi citizenship. So the Bangladeshis can deal with her. But yes, I have no faith whatsoever in this current government that their angle will be to support the main population. It will be that she'll be allowed back.
And the reason I wanted to talk to you about this is, apart from the fact I don't think she should be allowed back, she's a serious security risk. This woman is a terrorist. She's a serious terrorist. She likes to put on her baseball cap and say, I'm just this little girl who made a mistake when I was 15. No. She's a player. She is a player. Now, if she does come back here, even for a court case, that's what she wants. She wants to come back and fight her right to stay here in a British court. And so far has been denied that. But if she does come back, the moment she comes back, I've been told that the security operation that we would have to mount around this woman, this dangerous woman, would cost a minimum of £1 million a year and involve, many officers, literally round the clock. You know, just sitting cars outside her house looking at her. You know, this kind of nonsense the police could do without, right?
Absolutely, because every hour that's spent doing that is an hour that's not spent catching a burglar, a thief, a shoplifter or a drug dealer. But at the moment she's allowed back, that bit, she's here, isn't she? She's won the game, and it should never, ever happen. And as I say, for the little people who suffer, we've seen the dangers of Islamic terrorism again. We don't know the full circumstances behind the German market, but is this going to be another mentally ill Norwegian who's involved in that? So the trouble is, this is what it'd be
from Cardiff. It'd be a Welsh guy from Cardiff, probably.
Well, I actually went to Germany.
A loner with mental health problems. They're always loners with mental health.
Kept himself to himself.
Yeah.
But I went to Germany to deal with the sex attacks there on New Year's Eve, and they tried to cover that up for 3 days. In the end, it all burst out, all the sex attacks, and the police president was sacked. So the German government, as bad as our government, for spinning a line, really.
Do you know what was shocking? That summer in August, the northern town where there was a huge gathering, a big event. Funnily enough, it was to celebrate diversity.
Yes.
And a Syrian asylum seeker just went round slitting people's throat with a knife. Now, thousands of people saw him. Thousands of people gave the police descriptions, basically saying Middle Eastern-looking guy. It was an Arab. The police said, we haven't got any clear descriptions. We're unable to say exactly what he's like. And people were going, but we told you. We told you he looks like an Arab. They kept that quiet. At the risk to German people, because they're so terrified of being Islamophobic or something. I mean, we're going ahead of ourselves here in terms of what's happened tonight, because we don't know what the reason is, but certainly it's got the feel of a terrorist attack, hasn't it?
Absolutely, and the trouble with the Western governments is that they were told after Southport, people were saying, "Oh, there's all this misinformation." Well, the government was as guilty as that, really, putting out this Cardiff schoolboy, all this sort of thing.
The government put the misinformation around. They are telling us it's a Cardiff lad. you know.
Yeah, it erodes trust and confidence in politics. It erodes trust and confidence in the police, and it's really bad when citizens are having to whisper in corners what they really feel. That's a bad situation for any population to be in. That they have to sneak round corners, whisper to their friends what they think, and no one's allowed to discuss the truth. It's like some awful 1984 scenario.
I'm saying it is Orwellian, and don't forget those white working class rioters in the summer who went round saying that they thought this might be to do with terrorism and might be to do with a Muslim and so or a migrant. You know, they were told, how dare you, had absolutely no, this is misinformation. That's the police, the authorities, by extension. Keir Starmer knew exactly what we subsequently found out is when they went into the suspect's house, you know, immediately after the attack, they found an Al-Qaeda military manual and a load of ricin dangerous poison. So he wasn't charged with those terrorist sounding offences for 3 more months. They lied to us. They lied to us, you know. Anyway, we'll see what happens in Germany, but let's hope there's a bit more transparency than you usually get with these occasions. Mike, first of all, thanks very much for joining us tonight, and may I also wish you the compliments of the season, and thank you for all your brilliant contributions to my show over the years, and I'm sure that there will be many more next year. All the best, Mike.
Well, thank you. Merry Christmas to you and all the listeners. Thank you very much indeed. Cheers,
Mike. That's Mike Neville there. We're going to break now. We're going to keep an eye on the German market situation. I can see now on the telly that it's all closed down, but we did see earlier loads of people on the ground. As I say, 60 to 80 people have been injured, 1 confirmed dead. We're waiting for updates on those statistics, but it is one hell of an incident in Magdeburg to the west of Berlin. A Christmas market, a car has careered into the crowd and clearly caused carnage. So we don't know exactly what the reason for this was, but you know what we're all thinking. It has the feel of a terrorist attack, doesn't it? OK, we'll keep you posted on that, but in the meantime, it's still Christmas, so we're going to have a few drinks after these messages, so stay where you are.
And we live in a society where a woman can post something on Facebook and get 15 months in prison. Yeah. And she can do that with a milkshake. It was a milkshake, but it could have been acid, and walks away free.
Yeah. What I hated, actually, was her walking out as if she's on a catwalk. Yeah. She's got her big sunglasses on. I mean, she's obviously not taking it seriously. She's all dolled up. And I just think for her to walk into court like that was just... I was taking the mick, wasn't it? And then her to come out, and she smirked. She didn't care. She knew she got away with it.
And all followers.
And also, and the judge even made a point of saying that she had shown no remorse whatsoever.
Yeah.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back. Well, I'll introduce our new guest. He's in the studio, and very welcome he is too, for a number of reasons, because he's a lovely guy. Used to come on my show a lot when I used to do the weekend shows, but mainly he's bought a load of really good booze and some lovely food. Welcome to Adi Smith. Thanks, Adi.
Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me back.
So we're going to have a few of these drinks. We're going to take some calls. But since we're in the festive mood, I think I should play you first a little excerpt from my critically unacclaimed, ignored TV show on Talk. It's called What Just Happened. It will start in about half an hour. It's called What Just Happened, as I say, and here's a little taster.
Hi, I'm Kevin O'Sullivan, and I've got a message for you. Don't miss What Just Happened on Talk this Christmas.
The things I do. I mean, you know, this is no way to earn a living, is it? Anyway, that was me as the Grinch. 9 o'clock for 1 hour. It's What Just Happened. So you can watch it on YouTube or on the telly, but you can listen to it on the radio. So it's very radio friendly. Just listen if you like, and it will go out fully available tomorrow morning on YouTube. So What Just Happened in half an hour. By the way, I got another show. I'm on so many shows tomorrow night.
Humble much.
Yeah. You'd think I was earning a lot of money, wouldn't you? That's not true. But no, 7 o'clock tomorrow night, Clash of the Titans. Me, Julie Hartley-Brewer, Peter Cardwell and Russell Quirk. So that's tomorrow. That's us chewing the fat about all the big issues of the week. So we're going to take some calls, and but first of all, Adi, you've poured a very interesting looking drink here. I'm looking at a fascinating bottle. What are we talking about here?
I have indeed, and thank goodness we've gotten to this part. I was sitting here staring at this glass thinking, when can we actually drink something?
You could have drunk it while I was talking.
Don't you worry, I was. Well, you know, we're in the festive cheer moment at the minute, and everyone's had a margarita. We all know that margarita is tequila with orange liqueur, a little bit of lime juice and some agave syrup. But you know what? I want to make it a bit more Christmassy. So what we're exploring here is this gorgeous, gorgeous aperitivo, which is called Italicus. And it's Italian. It's predominantly made from bergamot. So that is such a beautifully Christmassy thing to explore.
What is bergamot?
So bergamot is basically, it's a flower, isn't it? It's what you harvest it. And the particular one that they have in Italicus is UNESCO protected.
So is that a sort of a tequila sort of thing? It smells tequila.
So it's got tequila in it, so well done.
Okay,
I mean, clearly you've had a couple of margaritas before, I think, haven't you?
Yeah, well, that's delicious. I don't have many areas of expertise, but heavy drinking is my specialist subject. Right, let's go.
Here we go. So you should get that beautiful kind of floralness. A little bit of citrus comes through. But there's a cool story behind this. So, you know the aperitivo, right? Yeah. Everyone has kind of heard of an aperitivo, and it's massive in Italy. But in this country, across the world, it's kind of everyone's stopped having aperitivos. In Italy, they still do. It was something that happened in kind of the 18th and 19th century.
What is it? Is it a drink for a meal?
Yeah, basically. And what happened was this product here, which is called Rosolio di Bergamotto, which basically just means it's a bergamot kind of aperitivo. This used to be super popular before vermouth was ever a thing.
Okay.
And then over the years, it just died out. And there's a chap who's in Italy called Giuseppe Gallo is his name, like great Italian name. And he was looking around and thinking, do you know what? Why is no one drinking this? It was so popular. So he went back to his family book and his family recipe book from the 19th century, pulled it out, and Bob's your uncle, Giuseppe's your aunt or uncle, whatever. He came up with this beautiful, beautiful recipe.
Which part of Italy is this from?
That is a good question.
You don't know, do you?
Let me call my friend Giuseppe and ask him. But he's world renowned.
I'm going to say somewhere in the north.
I was going to say.
I'll tell you what. It's now going to be Naples, isn't it? You know, obviously.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what. It's got a real lingering power, hasn't it?
We call that a finish.
Nice, isn't it?
It's really nice. You get the bergamot.
Really
it's almost like floral, isn't it?
Yeah, it does have a very floral taste to it. It has a very kind of aniseedy taste to it to a degree.
I like that.
But yeah.
I like that. I mean, there's a couple of core ingredients in it, but Calabrian bergamots. There you go. Well, that's just giving away where it's from. If it's Calabrian.
Okay. Hang on, remind me.
I was banking on you being smarter than I am with the regions.
Yeah, well, hang on. Wait.
Calabria. There must be a place called Calabria or something of that nature.
We are in a news organisation.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. I'll tell you what we're going to do because our lovely audience have been phoning in. So we're going to take a few calls. So let's go to Merseyside and talk to Lowry. Good evening, Lowry.
Hi, Kevin, are you all right?
I'm all right. I'm glad you wanted to talk about Peter Mandelson. This is pretty disastrous, isn't it, already?
Well, I don't know. I think that perhaps Keir Starmer has been quite clever.
Well, that'll be a first, wouldn't it?
Well, it could be, because Mr. Mandelson is experienced, but not as experienced as his brother. His brother is a psychologist and a delightful man and very clever. So I think Keir Starmer could use the brother for some psychology.
Well, perhaps that might be an idea, but Peter Mandelson, I was saying earlier, not a bad appointment because, you know, he's a pragmatist, he's an old campaigner, knows what he's doing around the political scenes. But turns out, Larry, as soon as he was appointed, we got that news this morning, about an hour later, this interview he'd given in 2019 became available, in which he called Donald Trump a white nationalist and a racist and a threat to world peace, a danger to the world. Trump's furious.
Well, it could be quite perceptive of Mr. Mandelson. But
it could be. Well, I don't agree with what he said, but the point is, he's got to be the American ambassador. You know, he has to be there as a guest of the president. He's just dissed the president in a really bad way, called him a white nationalist racist. That's not going to be very good for the special relationship, is it?
It's not. It's really not. But I would imagine that the brother of Peter Mandelson will do a really good job on Keir Starmer at the moment.
I think, Mr. Mandelson, the brother, should get old Keir onto the psychiatrist's couch right now and find out what the hell is going on, because damned if any of us can work it out. Larry, thank you for a lovely call, and a very happy Christmas to you. Keep tuning in. Thank you. Larry in Merseyside. Right, so of course, when I said it sounds like it's from the north, it's from the very south.
Is it really?
It's right down on the toe of Italy.
Oh, my God.
So it is a place. That's good. I'm glad that we clarified that.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have slept tonight.
Yeah, well, there you go. It looks very nice, actually. Yeah.
I mean, I love these kind of, you know, liqueurs and spirits that are coming out of Italy. And this particular one, the Italicus, it's got all these, like, protected ingredients in it as well. So the Calabrian bergamot, it's got cyclic and citron, it's got Roman chamomile, and it's got lavender, yellow roses, all the things that you don't know what they are, but they taste good when you're in a jar.
It's complex. Right? Listen, we have to go to break now, so stay where you are. We'll take some more of your calls when we come back, and we'll do some more drinking. Yeah. Why don't you all pour yourself a glass and we'll all have a drink together for this very special time of year. What do you think? That next, there we are.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Here's a quick message from... thanks for all your texts and your messages, as always. Just to remind you, I said this earlier, I won't be back. This is my last show. I know you're all going to be absolutely devastated, but I won't be with you again until January the 6th, so it's basically a couple of weeks. And on Monday, Russell Quirk will be standing in for me. So the show will be in good hands. Adie Smith is still with us. It used to be the Three Drinkers. I think we've just got it. Adie Smith, the drinker, is now with us, and he's turning us all into... Well, he's not turning us into drinkers. We're professionals on this show at this sort of thing.
Market research.
Yeah, research. So we've had this, like, what was it called again, this?
So this is called the Italicus Margarita that you've just had here.
Okay.
Absolutely gorgeous.
That's the Italian margarita. It's delicious, and it comes from the southern area of Calabria. But just before I enter it, Cam in Leicestershire, say where you are. Tell us what we've got a new drink
Well,
here.
I'll tell you, before we get into the new drink, just very quickly, we had the margarita, and for those who are listening, we're pairing that with a little snack.
These are these lovely biscuits.
Lovely biscuits. They're just called Drinks Biscuits. It's super simple. It's from the Drinks Bakery. And there's a guy called Andy Murray, who's up in Scotland.
That's got a ring to it,
hasn't it? Fantastic.
Sounds familiar.
Well, I mean, brilliant. And his mum, whenever she'd have a little aperitivo when he was younger, she'd always pair something with it. And he'd always try and help her with whatever that was. So, you know, fast forward to about 10 years ago, and he just came up with the concept of the Drinks Bakery.
Great
so
idea.
he makes little crackers and little biscuits that are savoury to pair with your drinks. We've got the Parmesan toasted pine nuts and basil one here, which is blooming delicious.
Is this a kind of brandy of Scotch?
Don't you rush ahead on the next drink. Right. We're not getting there. No spoilers.
Well, we've got another drink here, but we've also got another caller. So let's talk to a new caller. Love new callers. Sorry. Talk amongst yourselves, just eating and drinking. Let's talk to Cam in Leicestershire. Welcome to the show, Cam. What would you like to say?
Thanks so much. Kev, I'm just really shocked and surprised that our present government, which is about 6 months old...
Cam, it's a really, really bad line. No, we'll try and get Cam back. First time caller and it didn't work. Typical. Right. Okay, special occasion. Heather rings up every night, and you know we'll get very busy. but it's about time we spoke to her. Heather from Girvan. Heather, good to talk to you. How are you?
Darling, how are you?
I'm very, very well. How are you?
Merry Christmas to you and your family, and I hope you and your family and your wife have a lovely Christmas.
In that order. Yeah, OK. What are you doing, Heather? Thank you very much for that, by the way. What are you doing over this festive period?
Well, I'm going to be alone on Christmas Day.
Oh, yeah? Oh.
Yeah. And plus, when my neighbour gets back home, me and my neighbour, we are going to have a drink together.
That's nice. So when does your neighbour get back?
I don't know.
What are you going to drink?
What are you going to drink, Heather?
On the menu?
A lot.
We're going to drink some, what I call it, Baileys.
Oh, Baileys, yeah, lovely. Very nice drink. Do you know, there's a Baileys drink, Adi will know about this, that I really like. I mean, I actually quite like Baileys, you know. I think it is everybody's guilty secret, isn't it? But, they do a dark chocolate one.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
That is nice. That is a very... Do you know that one, Heather? Dark chocolate Baileys.
I've never drunk that, but I might give it a try one year.
You should do. Get your neighbour to bring it. So you're on your own on Christmas Day. What will you do?
Well, I'm going to be drinking some whiskey and ice and have a Christmas dinner.
I like
Good for you. That sounds... do you know what?
Yeah.
That sounds like my ideal Christmas. I mean, I'll tell you what, Heather, it's true that my wife and I... sound like the royal family, don't I?
Yeah.
My wife and I. No, over the years, we have distilled our Christmas Day down to us.
Yeah.
You know, because
fine. No messages to your wife.
The fewer people at Christmas, the better.
Quiet and
Exactly, Heather. Exactly. So you're up in Girvan. That's in Scotland, right?
Yeah.
Is it like snowing or anything?
Plus, do you know one thing I'm going to do when I wake up on Christmas Day morning?
Yeah.
I'm going to take a walk on the beach like I did last Christmas Day.
Look, your Christmas sounds great, Heather. It really sounds great. Listen, Heather, I'm going to have to go now because
one thing, Kevin, about walking on the beach on Christmas Day.
Go on.
And I did it last year. It's absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, it sounds amazing.
Because I've got Hills of Craig in the distance.
Oh, yeah, I know that. So
Hills of Craig.
So are you near the golf courses and all that, yeah?
Yeah, I'm next door, not far from Donald Trump's golf.
Yeah, that's right, because you can see that off the coast. That sounds amazing, Heather. Listen, Heather, I really appreciate you always ringing. I'm sorry we can't get you on every night, but you understand, you know, we have a very busy show. But don't think we don't know that you call us a lot. And we'll obviously get you on sometimes. And really good to talk to you now. And you have your Christmas sounds lovely. Have a lovely time and a very, very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to you. All the best, Heather. You take care now.
Thank you.
That's Heather in Girvan. Yeah. There you go. Right, we're going to go to a break now, and we've got another drink here, courtesy of A.D. Smith.
Yes, we have.
And we'll drink it after these messages.
All the senior leadership around security and defense were told, sorry, he's having a bad day. That's code for he's got cognitive challenges and couldn't function. So we had a president who was cognitively impaired, and then he ran for president again, which is
crazy.
sickening. And they covered up that as well. The press did a great job covering for the Democrat Party until it was not sustainable anymore after the famous June 27th debate. And the only reason they pulled him was because he was polling 5 points behind Trump.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on YouTube, on your mobile, and on your side. This is Talk.
Welcome back, still with A.D. Smith and Pete Barnes. A quick message from Helen in Brum, Birmingham. How would Starmer know how the country feels about him? He listens to entitled civil servants who have no idea what is happening past their dinner party crowd. They wouldn't mix with us plebs. You're right, they're just North London, millionaire socialists, aren't they? I know, I live among them, I really do. I'm an agent provocateur. Let's just take a quick call from Cam because we had a bad line now. Hello, Cam. I hope we've got a better line now. What would you like to say?
I hope so.
That's better. That's better. What would you like to say?
I was just going to say that I've never, ever known of a government to have such a no honeymoon period.
Yeah.
And how they got it so wrong.
I mean, what was it people remember? Let's stay with Cam. How was it 2 weeks when they announced the winter fuel allowance?
Yeah, it was about 12 to 13 days. Yeah, and then they announced they were a member of the winter fuel allowance, and that was honeymoon over.
So yeah, Cam, they announced the axing of the winter fuel allowance 12 or 13 days. So within 2 weeks, they'd come up with this killer policy, and after that, it was downhill all the way. It's got worse and worse and worse. So you're absolutely right. They deprived themselves. They did it to themselves. It was self-harming. They deprived themselves of their honeymoon period by coming up with this awful policy. And after that, more and more very unpopular policies. It's extraordinary, isn't it?
It is so extraordinary. Now they seem to be absolutely actually damaging our country. this Mandelson thing, I thought...
I don't think they seem to be. They are. Yeah, so what are you saying about Mandelson, Cam?
I was saying that, I had a lot of respect for him, but I had no realisation that how unpopular he was with the Trump administration.
Well, that's because he called Donald Trump a white nationalist racist. And they're furious. And I don't think I did have a lot of respect for him. This guy was thrown out of Blair's Labour cabinet twice for scandals, and he was best mates with Jeffrey Epstein, the well-known paedophile.
Let's not forget.
So I'm not sure I had a lot of respect for him.
He also used to party with oligarchs at one point as well.
Yeah, well, he loves to be around money. Yeah, but that notwithstanding,
why would our Prime Minister appoint an ambassador to the most powerful nation in the world?
With this guy, because he's a useless prime minister with very poor judgment. Cam, listen, I've got to go now, but thank you for calling. You're a new caller. I'm back on January the 6th. Do call again because we need to talk. It was good to talk to you. Very happy Christmas to you. Thanks for calling. Cam in Leicestershire there. Right, let's go back to AD. Now, let's race it. So we've got a new drink here. What is this?
We've got a new drink, and just to describe what it looks like, it's got a kind of golden pale kind of hue to it in the glass. And I'm about to do something I've not done before. This is quite a special moment. So I'd like both of you to just have a little smell and take a sip. And of course, Kev just shoved some chocolate in his mouth, so he's not going to taste the drink at all. But if you give it a smell, there's almost a little bit of a creaminess to it, this particular drink that we're having. Now, I want you to both take a sip. When he's done a little.
I've done some water.
rinse.
I've cleansed my palate.
You've cleansed your palate. You've learned well over these.
I know all the phrases, don't I?
Yeah.
Right, well, so what this is?
So we'll have a little sip,
all right.
and then I'm going to tell you what it is. So, So, what if I was to tell you that the cocktail that you've just had is whiskey,
I can set the whiskey in it.
It's whiskey with Stilton. I've made a fat wash cocktail with 1912 Blue Artisan Stilton. So this particular cheese, it's part of like DOP.
So it's melted into the scotch.
So what I've done is I've taken one of my favourite Stiltons, which is called 1912, and I've essentially put it in a pan with some butter.
Yeah.
I've reduced it down so that the butter integrates all of the cheese. It melts.
Right,
It's just
so
a
it becomes
butter
a kind of a
exactly.
an intense liquid.
An intense liquid. What we do then is we let it cool down to room temperature. We put in a whole bottle of whiskey. I've used the Dalmore 12-year, which is one of my favourite whiskies. Absolutely adore this whiskey. And then you just put it in the freezer. The layer of fat comes on top.
It's delicious. Listen, I've got to stop you. I've just got to stop you. This German market. This is serious. There is now. They are reporting that 11 people are dead. 11 people have died in that car attack at the Christmas market in Magdeburg in Germany. Elon Musk has called for German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to resign. Elon Musk is assuming, I think like many of us, that this is some kind of terrorist attack. We've seen this kind of attack before, driving a vehicle into a crowded area, often, or in the past, they've done Christmas markets before, so it looks like it's happened again. 11 people dead. I suspect that number might rise. We've got something serious going on here. Again, we'll keep you posted. James Whale will be in a minute. He'll also obviously update you by the minute on this. Sorry to interrupt, Adi, but you know, you realise why. So, of course. Yeah, so Stilton, amazing, delicious.
I mean, if we're thinking of Christmas, but not just Christmas, the whole year, Stilton is something that we absolutely love.
What an amazing thing. So you just like stir it in?
This is stirring. You put it in the freezer, and then after about 8 hours, the fat layer is on top. You just scoop it off. You put it through a muslin cloth or a cheesecloth or whatever, and then you just have a colourless liquid, and it ends up looking like a whiskey would do.
Good, isn't it, Pete?
It's
delicious.
But what I've done is made a whiskey sour, that I like to call it the Stilton sour.
The Stilton sour.
So a little bit of our fat wash with the whiskey, a little bit of lemon juice, a little bit of, you know, the ins and outs of
right, listen, we've only got about like 3-4 minutes left, so you want to race through some stuff.
Race through. Right, so
what can we help you with? What would you like to...
Well, do you know what? I'll just say to the lovely people at home, if you want something kind of cool at Christmas, hip chocolate have brought out something called Figs in Blankets.
That is really nice.
It's really cool. And if you're vegan, then there you go. It's made from oats, so there's a little bit for everyone there. But it's really creamy, super nice, and it's got kind of bacon, not bacon, kind of normal, natural flavouring.
Where can people get that?
Amazon, £3.50.
There you go.
15% goes
straight
back to
get that. I highly recommend it. It's delicious.
And if you wouldn't mind passing me a bit, there's a big box over here that I'm just being passed now. I mean, you can't go wrong with Crosstown donuts.
Oh, these are delicious.
Right.
I've had these before.
One of the UK's absolute favourite donuts. They've got so many different flavours going on. We've got the Christmas specials here as well. So you've got everything from cinnamon to peanut butter to chocolate orange to pear. And, like, there's a bit of everything. Honestly, I can smell the smell coming from this box is absolutely divine, utterly divine. So I'm sure we'll tuck into those afterwards. And if you want any information on any of this, then all of my stuff is on Instagram. You can find me at SYPPED. That's SYPPED.
SYPEED.
No, SYPPED.
Well, you know, SYPPED.
D. Don't worry, I'm dyslexic as well.
No, I'm not dyslexic. I've just got a very short memory. Say that again. What is it? Go on, you say it again, AJ.
Say it one more time. So if you want any Christmas inspiration, I'm always posting about the best drinks, the best food to check out. You can find me on Instagram at Sipped, which is SYPPED.
OK, well, look, Adi, thank you so much for coming in. Lovely drinks, really good stories as well. A fascinating southern Italian drink, and blimey, Scotch and Stilton. I never knew.
Our Italicus margarita.
This what do you call it? Figs in blanket.
Figs in blanket.
Get that on Amazon. Really delicious, and these are nice as well.
Nice,
the drinks biscuits. So lovely Christmas drinks. Sadly, the backdrop to it has been this awful event in Germany. But we've seen this. We saw this at a Christmas market before, didn't we?
Yes, we did. There's been quite a few of these incidences, particularly in Germany. Like you said, they've been plagued by these terrorist attacks. And particularly these kind of car incidences. Normally they'd put those kind of bollards and things and they'd protect it all off, but this seems to have been a little lapse. But like I said, we've got to wait for the full investigation as to what's going on, but what we're seeing from those just short videos is just horrific.
Well, Pete and I saw there's a video which we needed to verify and we needed to be careful, so unfortunately we couldn't get to the point where we felt that we were justified to screen it. But basically, we saw this car racing through racing through. Like, imagine a car going through a football terrace at about 50 miles an hour. That's what it was like. People spewing out to the side. It's shot. If that video gets validified and it's shown, it's absolutely shocking. So the reports are that there are 11 dead, as we said earlier, at least 60, maybe 80 people injured. 11 dead in this car attack at a Christmas market in Magdeburg, Germany. At least 60 injured, maybe as many as 80. I suspect the death toll will rise. Elon Musk calling for German Chancellor Olaf Scholz to resign.